Get this figure and more at Lunar Toy Store. Hey, my name is Jobby, and this is when sponsorships go wrong. I don't give a shit about Leonardo. Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, you know them, some of you love them, but the rest of you couldn't give a rat's ass. Well, I don't hate the Turtles, but I can't deny that I lean towards the latter category. And if you really wanted to know about my indifference towards the Heroes in a Half Shell, you can check out my third-party Shredder review, links in the description. As for the figure itself, it's part of a line of high-quality and very expensive figures by DreamEX. Now, I never heard about DreamEX until this moment, but what I can say about them is that they're the kind of company that packages their figures with a foam insert. Let's see if they deserve that much smoke up their ass. The painting of the sculpting on this figure is amazing. The design of this figure is a kind of hybrid of the comic book style and the live-action film. I mean, the skin texture on this figure is eerily realistic. From sculpted in scale, some beautiful shading work, and even some bulging veins. This turtle's fucking shredded, no pun intended. But it's the kind of shredded that makes me want to puke. I can't deny that the muscle detail on this figure is brilliant, but it's just not my thing. I mean, Jesus, calm it down with those bulging black muscles. And that sense of realism goes all the way down to the feet, and he even has some toenails. He's also got some fingernails, but I try not to think about it too much. And how could I talk about a Ninja Turtle without giving some special treatment to the shell? It's beautifully sculpted, and it has a really nice feel to it. You can't help but knock it. Matter of fact, all the plastic on this figure has a nice feel to it. It's a semi-flexible plastic that smells like new shoes when you open the box. And needless to say, it's very But the figure's not entirely made out of this plastic. There are actual bits of fabric on the figure, which makes the figure feel even more realistic. But the straps aren't really fabric, they're more of a pleather material. Very nice. But any sense of realism is lost when you get to the head. Don't get me wrong, it's brilliantly sculpted and it's very faithful to the comic books from what I've seen. But again, I'm just not into it. I guess what really bothers me about this head sculpt is the fucking side mouth. It's so weird, I feel irrationally annoyed by it. It just feels too try-hard and overly edgy. I only pretend to be tough because I have unresolved daddy issues. At least that's how I see it. Get this shit out of here. You actually get an alternate head, which is more closer to the original live-action Turtles, and I prefer it. It's just too bad that it's a bitch to attach. I recommend a hairdryer to lightly heat up the plastic. That loosens it up just enough for you to get it in there. Not a perfect fit, but it still looks pretty good. And I don't know if this is getting picked up on my iPhone, but there's a slightly different texture on the mask, which makes this sculpt that much more believable. I mean, this also applies to the other head, but hey, at least that edgy bullshit is gone. Also adding to the believability are these mask tails. They're also made of real fabric, and they've even got a bendy wire in them, so you could actually pose them. Very nice touch. Now I know I said the P word, but we still got quite a bit to cover before we get there. In this house, you gotta earn your damn swivel, so the figure comes with a sizable amount of accessories. Now, why don't we start with the hands? That's a lot easier than it sounds. These things are really hard to get off, and I fucking hate it. Even if you heat it up with a hairdryer, it's still too difficult. So before I decide to quit YouTube, I'll just do that later. So this pair of grabby hands allows him to hold this pair of swords. And even the wrappings on the sheath are a real fabric. The quality never stops. And yes, it's possible to insert the sword into the sheath, but it's such a goddamn tight fit that I don't recommend it. This thing is stuck in here forever, I don't give a shit. Plugs into his hand fairly easily, and the sculpting on the swords are beautiful. And if my cold touch technique is to be believed, the blades are die-cast metal, but you can't really trust me in this garbage LA weather. What? I thought you said you couldn't get the sword out of the sheath, you liar! This was fun before I got it stuck in there. Please die. Come on, we could even do it together. And the grabby hands also allow the figure to hold these kunai blades. You get 3 of them, but he's only got 2 hands, so fuck. These things are also probably maybe die-cast metal. And very sharp. You also get 3 shuriken. But again, 2 hands, put in your ass. You could always do this though, that's pretty cool. Die-cast metal maybe, I don't know anymore. Of course, he's got more accessories than this, but that means I gotta change the hands. In addition to those grabby hands, you get a pair of fists, a spread open hand, and this hand allows him to hold this phone, not really. And this thing's pretty cool. It looks like a shell with some antenna on it, and you could even open it up to reveal the actual communication device with everyone's favorite fetish. Oh, it's a shell phone. It's a shell phone. Why is this popular again? You get what looks like to be another fist, but it's actually got a little slot between the fingers, which allows you to insert the shuriken. I gotta be honest, I prefer the other configuration, get rid of it. And you get what looks like to be a force choke hand. You like my trendy Star Wars reference? Very cool. This allows him to hold this included pizza, and you get 2 slices, but only one of these hands. Combine that with this included, just give me a second. Combine that with this thumbs up hand, and now he looks totally radical. Cowabunga, dude! I'm a relic of the 80s and I'm desperate to stay relevant. Please buy my merch. Let's just get this out of his hand and replace it with this grappling hook. It's shaped like a shell. We get it. You're a fucking turtle. And you could actually unravel this thing, but it's almost overly long. And if you're not using the grappling hook, oh shit, there's a little clip on here that allows you to attach it to his belt. Matter of fact, the figure comes with a bunch of pouches that also have this very same clip, which allows you to fit all of the weapons on the figure. Now I'm gonna take a deep breath, relax, and enjoy this forced transformation sequence. here we have the Rob Liefeld mode. Pouches, pouches, and more pouches. And it doesn't look bad at all. In fact, it looks amazing. And if you don't display the figure with these pouches, you're a loser. And I should point out a kind of minor issue that's actually pretty major. The painting on this figure chips easily. It doesn't help at all that it's not exactly easy to stand up the figure. Fortunately, you get a figure stand. And it looks very similar to a Hot Toys crotch cradle. Now, I never owned a Hot Toys figure, but I've watched too many reviews to count. Thanks a lot, Artemis Prime, for sucking up my time. That was a joke, you know I love you, babe. And you even get a little plaque with his name on it. Not a bad display, I gotta admit. And I also have to admit that the paint chipping on his neck was not due to the figure falling over a couple of times. I know damn well why it's messed up. Ball joint at the head. And as you can see here, it's a double ball joint, which allows him to look up that far and look down that far. Rotation at the arm. Arm moves out, that's a bit tight. No bicep swivel. Disappointingly limited bend at the elbow. Elbow swivel. Up and down at the wrist. But if you rotate it, you can get some side to side. Swivel here. Swivel not here. But to be fair, I can't really think of a way they could have included a waist swivel here. A limited kick. Can't move back that far. Thigh swivel. Bend at the knee. Up and down at the ankle. A pivot. And for some reason, the pivot on this foot is much more powerful. And some individual toes. And an ankle swivel. The posability on this Ninja Turtle is surprisingly not ninja-like. There's a very basic amount of posability on this figure, and for the price, it's a bit upsetting. Only real thing that I found kinda cool was the individual toes, but let's face it, you're never really gonna use those. And the figure's not really designed to be displayed in crazy action poses anyway. Which is the kind of figure that, again, I'm not quite into. It's more like a glorified doll than anything. And the other thing that makes it feel like a doll is the size of this thing. It's a little too big. Here's Figma Madagascar, SH Maserati Godzilla, Masterpiece Optimus Prime, and the third-party Orakusaki, also known as Shredder. And as you can see, they're totally in scale. And even though I feel like shit and couldn't care less about the Ninja Turtles, I can't lie about the overall quality of the figure. It's awesome. This is one of those figures that I feel like I don't deserve. I'm pretty sure that if I was a hardcore Ninja Turtle fan, I would have given this figure the double kiss or even the famed triple kiss. If you love Ninja Turtles, you'll absolutely love this figure. It's clear that there was so much care and love put into the figure. I can safely say that the figure earns that foam insert. But all the care, quality, and love is kind of lost upon me. Also, it's very expensive. But if this figure appeals to you and you feel that that is an amount you would like to pay, why not get the figure at the Little Toy Store? Little Toy Store is a bit of a smaller online store, but they do have a decent selection of figures that I feel is worth checking out. So go check them out, links in the description. They've even got a store exclusive This Frame Arms Girl kit with some extra parts. Very tacked on plug, I know. The kit looks very nice and has a shit ton of parts. Man, from Little Toy Store, if you're watching this right now, I'm not even close to being done yet. You gotta give me more fucking time! What the hell am I even doing reviewing a Ninja Turtles figure? I don't even care about this stuff. There's way too much shit that I care about that you guys sent me that I haven't even taken a look at. See you next time. Me to the moon and let me play with something I actually give a shit about.